Start streaming. Boom. Should be streaming. Let's see if it comes through. It's coming through.
I'm like, I have the page up.
Awesome. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Indie Dev Chat. This is episode 24. It's been like a year of this podcast. Actually, it's probably almost been 2 years even, which is kind of, I don't even know how. But yeah, today I'm here with Manisha. Hello.
Hi everybody, I'm Manisha. I have a small YouTube channel called Wannibe Manisha where I do fun game dev videos as well as my own devlogs. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously, you know, your YouTube channel, and outside of the YouTube channel, you also work as a software engineer, right?
Yes. So my full-time job is actually a software engineer in the finance industry. So totally different from game dev.
So how is that? Is
Um,
that quite fresh? Is it quite nice to sort of have different, sort of, I guess,
it is.
avenues?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I've found
In
when
fact,
I found when working on on other projects and stuff, like working on like two projects at once, like it's very good to get like a fresh pair of like eyes on each, and it keeps you usually like doing two like keeps you motivated. That's what I've found anyway. Yeah, go on.
mhm.
Sorry.
No, yeah, I feel the same way. It's kind of like they're almost two separate um, types of projects almost.
hmm
So when I do game dev, it feels like it's a whole different hobby, even though they both have coding
Yeah,
elements to
yeah,
it,
yeah,
but they're like completely different at the same time.
yeah, yeah,
So I don't get overwhelmed in that sense.
yeah.
And game dev has more of that creative aspect to
Yeah,
it,
yeah, right.
whereas during my job, it's more like this is kind of what you have to do. This is what the clients want, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then you do it. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, what does your job entail?
My driven tail, like how I started game dev.
Well, yeah, like what are the sort of things you do, when with your job? Like, what is the, you know, sort of day to day, I suppose.
Day to day. Well, luckily I get a lot of like freedom at my company, so
Right.
I'm working on a project by myself almost.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing like full stack, front end and back end. So
Gotcha.
that keeps things interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, my day-to-day tasks are just like fixing bugs or
Right, right.
implementing a new feature
Yeah.
that clients want,
Mm-hmm. It's
stuff like
interesting.
that.
It is really interesting, like hearing, because I've had web developers on here. I've had people that don't work in games at all, and it's
Mhm.
really crazy having loads of like different sort of things that people have been doing. So it's interesting to sort of see what each sort of person has like in common, but then also like different. There's a lot of differences between like every guest, but then there's like a lot of similarities. It's quite interesting. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so like, how did you get into game development?
I guess I would say I'm one of the lucky people who got to actually learn game dev in school, like while I was
All
in high
right, yeah,
school.
nice.
Yeah. So luckily, my computer science teacher, she introduced us to Game Maker Studio.
Right, right.
So that was like my final year grade 11
hmm
project, I think,
Yeah.
where I made like a full out game almost. It was pretty long. I was pretty impressed looking back now. It was like at least 30 minutes of gameplay.
Right,
Like, wow.
right. So,
So that was fun.
so from that, how did you then get into software development? Like, had you been interested in high school, or was it just something that sort of popped up?
Um, well, I took computer science in high school,
Yeah.
like in grade 10 and 11.
hmm
But then I went to an all girls school, so we didn't have like the grade 12 one because not enough people signed up.
Right. Yeah.
So I couldn't take that. And so I continued on just taking computer science.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was debating between computer science and software engineering for university,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, so I continued on that path because I just love tech
yeah,
most.
yeah. Well, you know that's usually a a good motive for doing
Mhm.
software development.
Yeah, I think I wanted to originally go into a game dev stream, but it wasn't that realistic for me at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Like,
It's I mean, in like out of everything, software engineering is a lot more, you know, it's a lot more broad. There's a lot more jobs out there for software
mhm,
engineering. You know, it's like that. There's like a larger demand for it and stuff. It's easier to get a job in it, and yeah, game dev is more. Even though it's been around for like, it's probably been around longer than like a lot of the software engineering companies, but like, you know, it's still like something that's sort of still new in a weird way. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, I think it's still in its infancy, even if it's not necessarily. um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's still got some growth to do, you know, and I think the fact that like the whole game industry has never been that stable either. Like
Yeah.
it's had a lot of ups and downs, you know. You've it's kind of crazy. But yeah,
Mhm.
like I'm curious because you know, it must. I mean, I don't know actually, but like in terms of software engineering, what is the? I guess like let me think about the question. um, I guess like you know, in a whole, in a much more like, I mean, the industry is a lot more male dominated. Like, how has that sort of been for you? Have you like noticed like I don't know like are there more females now, or you know, because you know there's been a lot of like I guess talks recently
Mhm.
about the whole like females in the industry and stuff, and like the fact that like
Yeah.
it's you know it is increasing, but like it's obviously you know not great. But yeah, like has your experience been okay or
Yeah. My experience has luckily been okay.
yeah
During university and as well as in the workplace.
mm-hmm.
So of course I'm lucky in that aspect.
Yeah.
Um, there weren't that many females like in my graduating class. I think it was like 15-20% maybe.
Right yeah
But something I wanted to do like while I was in university was make sure that we can get more girls into computer science or
mm-hmm.
software engineering and just like introduce it at an earlier age or just get people more involved.
Yeah
That's always something I've been wanting to do.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah I mean I think especially
Um,
recently you know
mm,
there's been a lot of like uh people talking about their experiences in like the game industry, you know. So you know I'm not too sure about the software industry. I'm assuming it's basically the same. um but you know it is quite mind-boggling like how you know how crazy the industry actually is. Like you don't really think about it like
yeah.
when you're like an indie, you don't ever think like that's sort of you know that's going on,
Mhm.
but like when you look at AAA and stuff you start seeing it.
It
And
happens.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think it's especially a AAA problem mainly because like I think it's just because there's the whole stigma around women in like industries like that. Like it's still not like super represented, I suppose. So like they're probably like I feel like it's sort of a bit of that, and because of that, they're quite, I guess, worried about it. I suppose. I mean, you know, I do kind of get it, but like, yeah, I think it's sort of it's a very old way of thinking, and you know,
Hmm.
we're in the we're in the 2020s now, so you know, it's time to start like, you know, starting to actually be more accepting of everyone, because you know that's what like you know especially recently you know you've got all the like a lot more equality. You know it's not perfect, but you know there's been a lot more like progress on it. So I think it's
Hmm.
definitely like I mean I would hope that in the next few years like we'd start seeing some sort of change. Like I definitely you know I've been doing game dev for 4 years. I've been on Twitter for about 3 or so, and you know, I'd see a couple of stories by like from a couple of like women in the industry,
Yeah.
but like, you know, now I think it was, I don't know, a few months ago, there was like a huge surge of it. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw it, but there was like tons and tons of
Hmm.
people talking about it, and I think,
Yeah.
you know, that is definitely a really good like direction to go in, like so that the companies start like realizing it and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but you
It's
know,
especially in those bigger companies
yeah,
where I guess their management isn't as good.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wouldn't really compare like indie dev to the bigger companies in
yeah.
terms of like diversity and that stuff.
I think that's mainly
Mhm.
because they are AAA, so they're older in a way. Like I
Yeah.
feel like, you know, they've been around longer. Well, you
Hmm.
know, you could argue that indies started off AAAs, but you know, like the indie industry now has, like, you know, it's obviously flourishing a lot more than it used to be. There's like thousands
Hmm.
of developers each year. Um, so yeah, I feel like we're start the indies are definitely have definitely not got as much of that mindset, um, but then again, you know, it's really hard to tell because we don't have any sort of metrics to, I suppose, look at that, even because, you know, there could
Hmm.
be women that haven't spoken about it and stuff like that, so yeah, it's really tough
Yeah.
to really know. But yeah, I'm just, yeah, I think it's interesting, like, or it's good to know that, like, it's not just like males, you know,
Hmm.
like, for
Yeah.
example, on this podcast we've had mostly male people on the show, but we've also
Yeah.
had I realized we had a 4-person episode, you know, with Zyga. So
Hmm.
now we've had two,
Yes.
and you know, I have seen more of an increase on YouTube, and I think that
Hmm.
that's really, you know, it's really positive, and I'm hoping it keeps going that way because I'd like to have, you know, a more
Yeah.
diverse sort of you know, amount of guests and different people from everywhere. You know, we've had people from France and
Yeah.
like Germany, America. It's like crazy. So yeah, just
It's
having
so
more of
nice
that.
that like the game dev community is just everywhere
Yeah,
and like you can
yeah.
just connect.
it
That's really cool.
is amazing. Um, and Rob Lang asked a while ago, what's your favorite part of game dev?
My favorite part? Mm, probably just like putting that little vision in your head
Uh
into
huh.
something that people can play. Just like getting it out
Yeah.
and I don't know, maybe just telling a story or getting someone to experience something that you thought you could only experience.
Right. Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Sort of making the audience feel
Yeah.
empathy. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would definitely agree. I mean, that's actually why I got into game development. I wanted to. I was before game development. I was like writing little books. You know, nothing serious, but like it.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed writing books, and you know, I always felt I was like, I really want to convey this in a different way, because like
Mhm.
I just thought, well, there was actually a quote. I can't remember it too much, but like it sort of went along the lines of like books, like they're sort of, you know, they tell you how things have gone. Um,
Mhm.
Movies show you how things have gone, and then the games, you do the things that are about to happen. And I think it is absolutely crazy. You know, games are definitely a great way of sharing a narrative. You know, there's so many amazing games out there. You know, when I say recently, like earlier today, I started playing a game called Spiritfarer. I'm not sure if you heard of it. It came out only recently. Um,
Mhm.
and it's got like a really
That's the
nice,
one on the boat, right?
yeah,
Is it
yeah.
the one on the boat? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's got
Mhm.
a really lovely looking like art style and everything. It's absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. The lights are fantastic, but like it's
Mhm.
got a really severe dark undertone, and it's crazy. Like I'll try and
Oh wow.
like I mean the Steam page, for example.
Mhm.
It says Spiritfarer is a cozy management game about dying. This very master
What?
to the deceased, build a boat to explore the world, care for your spirit friends, and guide them across mystical seas to finally release them into the afterlife. What will you leave behind? It's crazy.
Oh wow.
Like, it looks like a really, really, like, happy story
Family
and everything.
friendly. Yeah.
And, you know,
That's what
I
it looks
was
like.
like, I was scrolling through through like the reviews, and people were like, I legit cried 4 different times and I have no soul, so imagine the effect it would have on an actual human.
Oh wow.
So it's mad. I think that is definitely, as game devs, one of the biggest things, like one of our sort of, I guess, skills, talents. I don't know. Like that's what I feel like game devs should be responsible for, telling a very unique story, in a manner that's like
Interactive.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, an interactive story that is visually pleasing and everything like that. Because nothing else has like sound reactive stuff, and like it all reacts to your movements and everything. You feel like you're there, and immersing the player in a world you've made. It's like a
Yeah.
dream, isn't it? It's like
Mhm.
sort of like, here's a dream I've had. Step into
Yeah.
it. It's like, what?
Exactly.
um,
Pretty amazing.
yeah, it is. Sherry Wang said, "Is there an area of game dev that you've never tried but you would like to explore?"
Um, yeah. I think I really want to do VR.
I tried
I haven't.
VR. Yeah,
How was it?
it's pretty difficult for the first little bit, but that's like learning anything. It's a lot different, but it's fun. I mean, I think if I dedicated myself to it, I could definitely learn it pretty easy. It's it is pretty crazy. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy being in your own little project, and you put your VR headset on, you're like, oh, I'm in. It's
Yeah.
it is really cool. But I think for me, it's the sort of problem that like I am just I'm not good at, like, I guess, making artwork. That's my downside. I mean, I don't really see it as a downside. I see it more like I can focus on the things I want to do. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
and I think that's more important than saying I'm bad at this and bad at that. Like, it's very like important that you, like, I guess, identify what you are good at and focus on the things you're good at. And then if you want to like try and test the waters, you go right ahead. There's like
Yeah.
plenty of resources out there. I mean, I wanted to try out machine learning. Never got around to it, but like it's something that I really want to try. I tried like this in college today. I tried doing like like the whole nav mesh stuff. I've never really done it before. I think I did it once before, but like today, like actually learned. I learned what it was actually all about. It's interesting. I feel like AI is something that I'm quite passionate about, I suppose. But it's something.
I mean, it's always cool to learn new stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's such a big thing, though. So
yeah.
it's not exactly just learning one thing. Rob also asks, do you use source control?
Of course.
Yes.
I use GitHub
Ah,
usually.
yes, perfect. Me and my team, we use GitHub as well. It's perfect. It does everything you need, and
Exactly.
it's like to the point where you don't need to add anything else, and it's just perfect. So yeah, good choice.
I actually haven't tried using Unity Collaborate yet. Have you used that?
I have used Unity Collab. I used it before GitHub, surprisingly.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm
yeah,
sure it's easier. Is it?
it sort of depends. I mean, I think it should give you a bit of an idea when I like have I moved away from Unity Collab to then go to
Oh
GitHub.
yeah,
So,
true.
I mean it's good, but like it's got a 1 GB limit per project, which isn't so much of a
Mm.
problem if you're doing a 2D game and like the game's like super huge and everything. But even then, it's like still it's still pretty worrisome. Like you don't want to accidentally go over that and then you've lost your backup. It sort of
Mhm.
seems a bit dangerous. I mean, I don't know. I'd personally stick with I'd stick with GitHub for now. I mean,
Yeah.
unless something amazing comes out of like Unity Collab, and unless
Mhm.
like Unity Collab collabs with GitHub,
GitHub.
then I don't think I don't know.
True.
Oh yeah, merging.
GitHub also has like the task management, which
Yeah,
I've been debating whether to use instead of Trello. So I've been
I
thinking
haven't
about that.
even like I've seen it around, but I haven't tried it either. I like Trello though. It's so perfect, especially when you have like those, what do they call them, power ups.
Oh
It
yeah.
makes it very easy, and I already
Hmm.
I know how to use it and stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. Um, but yeah, Rob said about with GitHub, like merging scene and binary files is hard without external tools. That's a drawback compared to collab. Yeah, that's
Mm.
very true. Um, I think it's I think I'm fine with it because like now I've sort of got used to it. Like the amount of merge conflicts I've had, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
oh, it's fine. Yeah,
True.
yeah, yeah. Accidentally pushing the library folder in GitHub is painful. Exactly. Yeah, you just got like
Yes.
180 files. You're like, I only changed one file. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it's funny. Um, I think we had another question. I think. Oh my god, there's been so much stuff. Assuming unlimited time and money, what would be your dream game to make?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
That is a hard one.
I don't. I feel like I don't really have a dream game.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do, but
Well, I don't.
personally, you
So
don't?
no,
Okay.
I had like sort of ideas, but I don't have a dream game. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I want to make an open world game eventually because then I would
Mhm.
be like, okay, that's a big game. Ta-da! Like open world already like that. That screams
Yeah,
pretty big game.
for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a dream game. Yeah, any game I work on can easily become my dream game. Exactly. Yeah,
Exactly.
someone
Hmm.
said that in the chat, and I definitely agree with that. Like, I could be working on a game, and suddenly that's like, that's my favorite game to work on. And
Yeah.
I guess my dream sort of type of game, I suppose, would be a 3D, um, a 3D game with like I don't want hyperrealism, Like there's so many,
Hmm.
AAA you can
Yeah.
do that. For me, I feel like I want to make something with a very unique style and like just a very different game. I don't know.
Hmm.
I think it's interesting. I feel like that's another like discussion about like the whole AAA thinking, like with that whole trying to go for like the most realistic thing as
Hmm.
possible. Like I think it's really interesting. They're trying to go for the most unique things. I mean, they're
Yeah.
trying to go for this most like realistic things, and then indies are over here like, oh look, we got a colorful, you know, fat bean
Just doing
thing.
our own
It's
thing.
like,
Yeah.
what is that? Yeah.
True.
I think it is interesting because like especially like when you see like all those tech demos, you saw that Unreal Engine 5 one.
Mhm.
It's like, I wonder how many AAAs are gonna be like, ooh, you know.
Yeah.
It is interesting because I don't think that like we will be yeah, I don't think personally like indies are gonna be like, oh yeah, let's go for the most realistic game possible. I don't think
No.
it doesn't make any sense because you wouldn't
There's no
stand
point
out.
competing.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
wouldn't stand out at all. Um, And Zyga asked, just out of curiosity, what do you want to do in the future? Like, what's your goal?
Ooh. Um, yeah, eventually opening my own studio would be nice.
Oh
Like a
yeah.
game dev or game studio.
I
But it's not something I really have thought about thoroughly yet.
Yeah. I mean, I was about to say I thought about the same thing, but then then I realized like I've got a business. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm working towards. I'm working towards making it sustainable for myself. So, yeah. I mean, that's my future. Like, I just wanna. I guess I just want to like get myself set up so that I can make great games. That's. I mean, that should be pretty obvious for like majority of indies, but like that is,
Yeah.
it.
I mean, just like building games and just getting more experience, building
Yeah.
your skills. You'll make it
Yeah.
eventually,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think.
I think everyone can make it. It's just whether or not you like push yourself enough to make it. It's not an easy thing to do. I mean, everyone knows that like game dev is not easy. If it was easy,
Yeah.
everyone would be doing it.
Everyone would be. Yep.
Yeah, but that we're. I think the fact that we've got this far, we've learnt this much, like, can show that we could do it. Um.
Yeah.
Ooh, do you get to play games much? If so, what ones? Can you play without analyzing them? I like that last bit.
Yeah, I do like playing games with more of like a storyline.
I second that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I recently finished Celeste, which I should have finished
Oh,
a while ago.
oh,
So good.
what a great game! Oh, I loved that.
Mhm.
That was my, well, actually, it still is one of my all-time favorites. It's
It was really good.
so fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. And
Up Life is Strange too.
oh, good one too. Yeah. Yeah. All those are great.
The first one, it was really good.
Oh yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah. I mean,
And then
have you played the new Tell Me Why one? It's the new one made by the same people that made Life is Strange. It's pretty interesting. I mean, it's not as like, it's not as like superhero-y
Mhm.
sort of thing, but it's like still got a pretty interesting storyline.
oh, what was it called again?
Tell Me Why. It came out like, I don't know. I
I
think
haven't
that
seen it.
it's only about 3 episodes. I think. I think the last episode is dropping very shortly. Like, they've only released it like this past month. It's actually really interesting. Like, a lot of
Oh, wow.
like episodic games, like they take like
Yeah.
2 months, like for each like 2 months for each like episode, or 3 months or whatever. But yeah, this one they released. So they released the first episode, and then they released each episode 1 week after each one. So like, each week, which is actually, I think
Oh,
that
wow.
I personally think that's like the way they should have gone anyway. Because like, to me that makes sense. Like, actually having
Yeah.
a finished game, but
Yeah.
I get why, but I feel like that's personally why Telltale didn't do too great in the end, was because like they released an episode and then you'd have to wait like four
A
or
huge
five
gap.
months to like play the next one.
Yeah. And people
Although,
already forgot what happened. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, their games were really good, but I absolutely loved the Walking Dead. I think that's I think that was one of a kind.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on young game devs like 13 to 17 years old?
Yeah. Just in terms of what?
I don't know. I mean,
Advice?
that's what
Okay.
someone said. They were just like wondering what your thoughts on them.
I mean, do what you love
Yeah.
and work on it. Don't give up. Such generic advice.
No, it's true. I'm just laughing because it's like, I'm 17. Yeah. No, it's I know. I feel like it is really interesting to me, like, knowing that there are a lot of young developers like me. Like, back when I started, there was no young game developers like there is now. I saw
Mm-hmm.
like a huge surge, and I like was on that train like just beforehand. I was like, starting it off, and I saw behind me, and there's like a bunch of them running. It's
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of developers overall, and
Yeah,
I think that's
it's
something.
nice to see.
It is nice to see. And it's good to know your competition.
Oh, true.
No, but in all seriousness, the whole YouTube scene for game devs has increased so much, and I think that it's like, I mean, I saw it back when again, I saw it back when there was like only Thin Matrix. That was the
Oh
only
yeah.
guy I could like really, if I recall, that's the only guy that really was. But then like Danny came in and like everyone else started coming in as well. So it's
Yep.
like, it's interesting. I feel like, as weird as it sounds, we do have Danny to thank for that. Like, I think
Hmm.
he inspired a lot of people who then inspired other people. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm not saying it's just, it's not just not just Danny on his own. But I think the fact that
Yeah.
he grew substantially. I think that's a pretty like sort of I guess no brainer to me. I think that's probably what was the driving force for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Um, do you
Yeah.
think indie game dev is at its peak right now, or is it just starting? I think it's still going. Yeah.
Still going, I would say. I don't know when it would peak. Like, when would you know when it peaks?
Yeah, I
Huh.
mean
Hard
it's
to say.
it grows. It's growing literally every single um every single like I guess what's the word uh, every single day it seems to grow more and
Hmm.
more. um Someone just said I should make an indie dev chat drinking game. What would that even entail? It's just me just there, and then it's like, oh, 3 shots. Matt mentions how they used to be. Yeah, I mean that's you know I think I actually mentioned that a fair amount. But it's true, I've seen the whole scene like blow up and everything, so it's quite
Hmm.
funny. And I guess what is also really funny, like here, like looking at the chat, is like the amount of people in there that I've spoken to about coming on on the show is like it's really really crazy. Like
Yeah.
I think majority of the people that I've actually asked, so that's that's a that's definitely an
Hmm.
interesting sort of thing. Um, so yeah, another topic, game jams. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
that seems to be your focus at the moment, right?
Yeah, most of my videos have been game jams,
Yeah.
mostly because I'm kind of bad at time management, so I only have time to do like a weekend game jam or like a
Mhm.
1 week game jam.
Yeah.
So those really work for me.
Yeah.
Um, I just wanted to talk about like how it's usually such a great opportunity to just learn something new almost. That's
Yeah.
what I try to challenge myself to do actually. Just
Mhm.
like pick something and try to it kind of forces you to learn it really quick because you only have a limited time.
Yeah. No,
So I think it's
it puts the puts
the
the
pressure.
yeah, it puts
Hmm.
the pressure on. I think it's not necessarily pressure. It's more like a driving force. I think
Hmm.
it's a motivator rather than a pressure. That is that even? I don't even know if that's a word, but it feels like it should be. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, like I feel like it's a. I just,
Yeah,
I just looked in the
it's a
chat. People are still
they're
talking
going
about the
crazy.
indie dev chat drinking game. One shot. Matt mentions people in the chat he wants on the show, and the chat goes quiet. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, I started off with game jams. I think a lot of developers start, because you start small, right?
Hmm.
You're not gonna go right and be like, oh, let's make the next GTA, like that.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
that do that, that's they've got and they'll learn, but it's quite funny. But I personally think that game jams like should definitely like continue. I think game
Yeah.
jams are like they keep growing as well. Like, you had
Yeah, it's
the
crazy.
GMTK jam, and it was just. Well, I saw that.
So many
I
people.
joined that as well, and I was like, how are there, how are there that many people? Like,
Yeah.
a
Since
couple
when?
years, a couple years
Yeah.
ago, I participated in another jam, and there was like 400 people, and I was like,
Mhm.
dang, that's a lot. And now it's like,
Right.
yeah, there's
18,000?
like
What?
19,000 or whatever it was.
Mhm.
I'm like, wasn't there
Pretty
a?
crazy.
I'm pretty sure there was a bigger one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't keep up with it. There's so many
hmm
jams. There's like just crazy. Um,
hmm
Rob
And I
asked.
know like
Oh,
some people are kind of scared to join a jam, I guess,
yeah.
because of the time.
Mhm.
But I think you should just do it if you're even thinking about it.
Mhm.
It's like a really great opportunity to
Yeah.
even get into game dev.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's definitely really important. Like the whole like I think it's just really good for understanding your own, like, again, going back to what I said like before, about the whole like knowing your limits and stuff, and knowing like what you're not good at and what you're good at. um
hmm
like it's super important that that you're God, the chat is like yelling at me. Everything I do, they're like 5 shots, 2 shots. uh
Oh man.
Dang. I'll see a YouTube video, and then
hmm
someone's gonna be like, this is the indie dev chat shots video or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's crazy. Like, I don't know. I feel like I can't. God, the chat. It's so hard not to look at the chat. I just keep seeing like 1 shot, 2 shots. Stop.
Oh my gosh.
I think and I've put my phone on do not disturb for everyone like yelling at me. But yeah, I I feel like game jams, yeah, again, knowing your limits and stuff, and it's also a really good way of finding like a team for yourself. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if you've necessarily had this, but like for me, I sort of I put out an advert for the team that I'm with now, and I got me and an artist spoke afterwards, and we like formed a team together, and one of the biggest like things about that, like right after we got in the team, we were like, okay, let's like sort of get to know each other and stuff, and there was a game jam. So we joined the game jam, and we did the game jam, and it felt like such a good way of like knowing somebody else, like that, knowing their limits as well, which is super important in
Right.
a team, right? Like you got to know like other people's skill sets and stuff, so then you can like
hmm
not accidentally overscope. And I think that's
Yeah.
actually a question Rob like was asking, was like, with in terms of like scoping and stuff. I mean, I guess that's not really too much of a big thing for you yet, but in terms of game jams, how do you really scope for, let's say, because there are weekend game jams and then there are week-long game jams, so like how
hmm
would you typically like think, I don't know, like how's your workflow in terms of, I guess, scoping a game, or do you just do it and hope?
I mostly just do it. I'm actually bad at overscoping because there's so many ideas going through my head, like
Yeah.
every moment. Even when I'm editing videos, there's
Oh
just
yeah.
like too many ideas going through my head,
It's like
and I
brain
don't really know
stop.
how
Come
to.
on.
I don't know how to like condense that into something doable. So I'm
Yeah.
still working on that.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the teamwork stuff that you said, I definitely feel that because I usually work with my sister
Yeah.
who does like most of the artwork.
Mhm.
And it's like really nice working in person, I feel.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole different feeling almost.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
used to do I used to do these like hackathons back in school,
Mhm.
and that would be like 24 hours like at school, you know? So you're
Dang,
just with
that's.
your classmates and everything, and
Oh,
it's just like
no,
such a fun time.
that is a dream. Like
Mhm.
it sort of feels
It's a
like,
whole different
you
feeling.
know, when you're like watching like those movies about like, I don't know, like some really over exaggerated like, I guess like developer, and they're like, oh yeah, this person like made like billions of dollars or whatever, and you're like, huh, you did that?
Hmm.
um, and you'll always see like, you know, those sorts of events, you know, and it's like, oh, that looks so cool. Like it's something that
Hmm.
I'll be going to university next year, so like, I'm really like, I know there that they host the global game jams at the university,
Oh yeah,
so like I feel like that would just be, I just can't
it'll
wait.
be
Like
fun.
it's just
Yeah.
gonna be so, it's so awesome. Like I don't know, it's
Hmm.
sort of like, it feels like one of the reasons I got into game dev, as weird as it sounds, like the whole communal aspect of it. Like it felt like it was a
Yeah.
really community driven thing. I mean, it is, like the whole YouTube
Mhm.
community, the whole like everything. It's just there's so much. There's so much like out there, and it's crazy. I just feel like
Yeah.
it just feels like such a dreamy sort of like, when you think about it, you're
Hmm.
like, that just seems like, like over exaggerated or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting, like the whole internet, like the fact that like, you know, like we were able to do game jams with like people from everywhere, but going
Hmm.
back to when we said like the whole indie scene being throughout the like throughout the world, sorry, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just so interesting to know like someone that beat you is like,
Hmm.
could be on the other side of the world. Like, whilst
Yeah.
you're, like, let's think about, I don't know, the GMTK jam. Whilst you're sleeping, somebody else is like working on
Right.
their game, and it's like, what? That's so
That's so
crazy.
true.
It's just so
Hmm.
interesting. Um, yeah. Someone asked, how old is Manisha, and how long has she been into game dev?
How old? My age?
Yeah. That's what.
um, yeah, I'm 24.
Mhm.
So I've been into game dev since high school, so like around grade 10, so 17, I guess,
Yeah.
or 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's always been like on and off, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
haven't been.
I
Hmm.
think that's especially a thing with game dev. Before you make it, right? It's an on and off thing. Like, I don't really. I mean, the only person I can think of really is like the person that made Stardew, but like
Oh
even
yeah.
him, like, it took him 4 years, and I'm sure there were times where he was doing other stuff. Well, he had to be doing other stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
I couldn't. I honestly, I don't know how I could last making the same game for 4 years,
That's just
like
crazy.
on
Yeah.
your own as well. He worked like completely alone, apart from with like the publishers, but like that is just
Hmm.
that's crazy. I mean, the amount of dedication on that man's
Hmm.
like shoulders is just
Yeah.
crazy. Like,
I don't even know.
I honestly, I'm mind blown by how he can just be like, oh yeah, I made a game in 4 years. This is it. It's
Hmm.
actually ended up being a real success.
Crazy.
Like, imagine like waking up, right, and you've released the game like the night before. You wake up and you just look on your phone, and the sales are just like exploding. Like, that is just
Man,
that's just a
it would be like, did I
crazy.
really wake up? Yeah.
Yeah, am I still dreaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. I feel like that's something that I would definitely sort of,
Hmm.
I guess.
But it must be so nice, like to know that your hard work kind of paid off.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. What's your
Mhm.
number one tip for getting out of a productivity rut? That's a good one.
Mm, there's a lot of times where I've just like done nothing for a week almost.
Yeah,
I think getting back into it is kind of like maybe working on something else.
yeah,
Like sometimes you get sick of just coding one certain part. So like maybe moving on to like an artistic part of the game or a different component of it. would get you more excited. Once I like start getting excited about a certain part again,
Yeah.
it kind of comes back to me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I would I second that. I think that whenever I'm in a like I guess productivity issue, like I sort of I like to look back and like sort of take it like whatever the word is like I guess like look at it from another perspective and stuff. I like
Hmm.
to I just pause my mind. I'm like, right, okay, let's see what there is to do. Look through the Trello, you see a bug or whatever, and you're like, oh, I can't really be bothered, but you'll fix it
Yeah.
anyway, and then suddenly you're back into it. Like
Hmm.
you just have to do a little bit of game dev, and then you know
Yeah.
then you're set. Like, I think that's a big thing with whole like burnout and stuff. It's like when you burn out, you then don't know like how to really get back into the rhythm. But like I think a lot of the time when you're thinking like that, you're missing out on getting back into it. And as
Hmm.
Lomania just said here, like if you need a break, you should take a break. There's not really anything really stopping you. Like just
Yeah.
chill and yeah, I think it's really important that people like just take a chill and don't like don't like stress
Yeah.
yourself about like getting the next game done and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I
If
don't
you're
know.
like, yeah, if you're happy about like, and you're excited to work on what you're working on, that's like the best feeling, I would think.
Yeah, I think it's just it's really interesting. Like, I don't know. It's just so interesting. Like just sort of, I guess, realizing like what you're doing, right? Like how lucky you
Hmm.
you are with actually being able to like pick up and like drop it whenever you can or whenever you want.
Yeah.
Sorry, like that you can let go and you can like pick it back up. I think that's the beauty of game development. Like your projects aren't
Hmm.
going anywhere. They're
Yeah,
staying there,
exactly.
and you know unless they're like unless you haven't backed them up. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another thing. Let's hope you
Hmm.
back up your projects. But
I
yeah.
guess, yeah, that's the nice thing about indie
Hmm.
game dev because you can just work at your own pace almost.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, I
if
guess
you
it
work
sort
on
of
a game,
depends.
it's different. Yeah.
It depends on, but then when you're working with a team, you have more of an obligation to work. I feel
Hmm.
so like it's less easy to just sort of give up, so to speak.
Hmm.
Like at
But
least
you
that's
also have like that motivation that other people
yeah,
are
like
kind of depending on you.
yeah, like they're like I don't know, they're doing the artwork and they need that artwork, work like actually
Hmm.
working within the game rather than just sort of, you know, like
Yeah.
yeah, it is interesting. I think that's definitely something that I am super like happy with in terms of working with a team. Like it's so motivating to be like, you know, you're like helping someone else make a game, but then it's your game anyway. So it's like then you're helping yourself. So it's like it's reverse psychology, I think. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I guess it also depends on if you've got like a deal with like a publisher or another company or something. Then then maybe think of like a schedule and stuff. Because sometimes scheduling yourself really helps. Like I set for myself. I'm like after 5 p.m. like I won't do any game dev because otherwise I know like I'll crumble and I like as
Yeah.
tempting as it is like it's so tempting sometimes to just like you know just
Keep going.
just keep
Yeah.
going and working but then you've got to realize your health's much more important than just working on your game and even if it
Hmm.
feels like you don't want to take a break and stuff like think of it rather than a break it's like extensive work like as weird as
Yeah.
it sounds it's like work even though it's not work yeah it's
Hmm.
again it's like you got to trick your mind into thinking you're still like being productive I guess because you are
Yeah. Hmm.
that's taking a break is part of being productive you can't expect yourself to work 24/7 because if you expect
Yeah.
that from yourself then again you got to know your limits, and if you don't know your limits, then that's when it starts becoming a problem, and then it eats away at you. So you gotta, make sure it doesn't consume you.
Yeah, definitely need that balance,
Yeah,
like work-life balance.
yeah. How do you go from the spark of an idea to something playable? Do you have a design process?
Um, I guess getting the core like gameplay mechanics out
Mm-hmm.
would be like the first step,
Yeah, yeah.
and trying to finish that main game loop
Mm-hmm.
would be like the fastest thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Um,
I definitely agree with that section. I've heard this like a lot, and it's something that I've also like I guess done myself. A lot of people like say you should definitely like make like prototype it and stuff, and it's super important that like you know definitely what you need to do rather than going full on with it. Like, don't make artwork for something that like you've just started working on. Like, I think
mhm.
that's because artwork is super time consuming. So just work on like getting the like mechanics down and then do the art, because
Yeah,
I think that otherwise again you start suffering from like you do all this artwork
not
and then
liking.
you
Yeah.
can't actually implement it, so it's not important, it's not going to be
Mhm.
very valuable. I mean, I
Yeah, so
think.
far like
Oh yeah, go on.
oh, so far my game jam like processes have been just getting the gameplay out, and I just use like random rectangles and stuff as
Yeah,
placeholders. So like I love programmer art because I can just implement everything and then I start putting art in
yeah.
and make it feel good, right?
Hmm. Yeah, no, most
That's
definitely.
usually.
I think it's a it's a it's interesting because you can I don't know. I think it sort of depends on your workflow as well, like how you work. I
Mhm.
like, because some people they just have like they will plan out the game and then work on it. If you're a really good designer, they can write down and they know it and stuff. So I don't know. I guess it sort of depends. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you saw Lomania's question.
Oh yes,
So would you like to give some backstory on your nickname?
sure. So the studio that we're called, like me and my sister,
Uh huh.
is Wannabe Studios,
Right.
and it's kind of like a pun, I guess.
Uh
It's
huh.
wannabe, which is usually spelled with an A,
Right.
but our last name starts with Wani,
Right.
so we just like combined it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just wannabe.
Yeah. Well, that's
Mhm.
it. That's There you go, Lawmania. There's your there's your lore.
Yeah.
um. Oh, Rob again with like another great question. I tell you, Rob asks like the best questions like all the
Right.
time. It's crazy. Um,
Loving it.
if you could tell younger you one thing about game dev, what would it be?
Hmm. I have to
Don't do
think
it.
about that one. Hmm. I don't know. I can't really think of anything right now. Do you have anything?
Uh, if I could tell my younger one, well, my younger self, anything. I'd probably tell him like, uh, you know, I mean, I guess for me, like, I guess, for a time, I sort of, I guess, flexed myself, if that makes sense. Like, I was so proud of myself and everything, and like,
Hmm.
I feel like I should have told myself, like, share your work to the world, but like, don't be annoying about it, because yeah, it's definitely really easy. Yeah, I mean, other
Yeah.
than that, I mean, I think I did pretty alright. I think. And oh yeah, I'd probably also tell him, hey, when you work on Millions and Minions, make sure you market it well, because
Oh yeah.
that's something that I wish I'd done. But there, that's in the past, so I can't really can't
hmm
really change the past. And another one from Rob. What's a new thing you've learnt this week?
A new thing.
Hmm. What have I learnt? uh,
I've been trying to learn like more about Cinemachine because I really
right.
like cinematography and like cinematics and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like learn more about that and see if I can integrate it into game dev.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been watching videos about that, if that counts.
Yeah. No, I think that counts. Oh yeah, I've been trying to learn Navmesh. And there you go.
hmm
Um, and Snotty HQ. I actually saw their question, but like I kind of forgot to say it. Are you just working on game jams at the moment, or is there anything else that you've like been thinking about doing, or is it just purely game jams?
Um, I have like a couple other game jams that I want to do,
Right.
but at the same time, I'm working on like a little platformer,
Uh huh.
2D platformer with my sister,
Yeah. Yeah.
and hoping to make it a bigger project, maybe commercial. I don't
Right.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, that would be nice.
Uh huh. Yeah. I mean, I think a good thing about platformers is that they're really modular. Like,
Mhm.
once you got the basic movement down and stuff, if you're just making a
Yeah.
really basic platformer and you just want a
hmm
bunch of content, you could just do like loads and loads of like levels, and
Yeah.
there you go. Like, I think that's what's so great about platformers and why it's so common as well.
hmm
Um,
I definitely want to like integrate a story into it. I
yeah,
feel like a story and like really nice like world exploration almost.
yeah.
That seems like a big project, but I'm gonna start small and see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's good to start small because otherwise, you overscope.
Mhm.
um,
Yes.
if you do get an opportunity to work in a AAA studio, which one would it be and why? Oh, I like that question. I think that's quite interesting.
Ooh. Um, yeah, I purposely kind of didn't apply to any game dev studios
Right.
because I like working on my own stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but if I had to choose one,
Oh, AAA. Um, I'd probably, I'd probably go for. I would say Naughty Dog because they're quite inspirational. Like at least from a technical standpoint, like their stuff is like wild.
Mhm.
um, I mean, even their stories. I mean, I personally enjoyed The Last of Us 2. I know a lot of people didn't, but like for me, I thought it was quite good. So I feel like I'd quite like to work for Naughty Dog. I feel like it'd be quite fun.
Yeah, I can't really choose one. I
Uh,
feel like most of the games that I like to work on are kind of like the happy, like family friendly content. So like maybe Nintendo, I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Nintendo would be interesting to work on. Like work with.
Yeah.
I reckon the environment's really like cheery.
hmm
I mean, I guess that's probably what they're trying to do. Like, it's probably like one of
Yeah.
those mind games. Like, oh yeah, it's a pretty cheery workplace. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think it is interesting. And last question from Rob: if someone said you're not allowed to do game dev anymore, what would you replace it?
Um Probably film stuff. I used to do like a lot of film projects with my friends and stuff
Yeah,
back in university.
yeah,
So I've always liked doing that and like
yeah.
little skits and whatnot.
Yeah, for me, I'd probably go into music. I mean, I'm not like super like amazing at it, but like when I play on like my piano and stuff, like it's so I don't know, I really enjoy it, so I feel like that's the sort of thing
Yeah.
I'd go for.
That's the cool thing
Um,
about game dev. Like it kind of combines like a whole bunch of different um like
yeah,
hobbies
there's
for your
so
skills.
much. There's so much.
So it's like nice to kind of just do work on whatever
Oh
you
no,
want.
everyone's saying play us a tune. Right, guys,
Oh yeah.
I'll play a tune in the next episode. I'll play a bit of piano if I can. It's not great at the moment, but yeah. I actually forgot that Reese asked the question. What is more valuable to you guys, YouTube or game dev?
For me it's definitely game dev because I want to get like
Yeah,
my project out for people to see.
yeah.
But at the same time, recently I've liked doing like more of that entertaining content.
Mhm. You see,
So I'm kind of like,
I went
yeah.
through that YouTube phase of liking the entertaining content, but again, I've gone to the live stream route. So for me, I'd go for game dev.
Hmm.
And that's a no brainer for me. I feel like I love working on games. I mean, I think that that should be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Um,
But yeah, it's like how much of my energy can I split up into the
yeah,
two,
it
and
is
how should
difficult.
I?
It is
Hmm.
difficult. But yeah, I feel like that's really it. It's been 1 hour and 1 minute, surprisingly. It's like
Ooh.
flown by. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. And hopefully we
No
will,
problem. Thank you for having me.
yeah, hopefully we'll see you again soon. I'll maybe try and get you on again because we're running out on we're running out of like guests slowly but surely. I feel like slowly I'm like
Oh.
I've got all the YouTube people. I mean, there's definitely more.
Hmm.
But it is definitely difficult to get guests. But yeah, again, thanks so much for taking part in today's episode. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on here. You've been really
No
great,
problem.
and
I
yeah,
had fun.
good. That is most important. You see, everyone, like I haven't forced people to go onto the podcast. Someone mentioned that I that I had forced them. Um, so yeah, I was just clarifying they weren't forced. But yeah, everyone,
Nice.
make sure you wear your masks and stay
Oh yeah.
safe. It's very important.
Mhm.
And tons of fun just said, "Wait, you guys weren't forced." But yeah, see you all later, and again, thanks for watching. All right, bye bye.
Bye.